This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Well, like I always say, if you hate marketing, you're doing it wrong. And to prove that point, we have the awesome and amazing Tim Fitzpatrick from Rialto Marketing. Welcome to the show, my friend.
David, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I always love mixing it up with a fellow marketing guru. Before we even get to all the fun stuff that we're going to talk about, give us a little bit of a professional journey of how you came to the work that you're doing today and what were some of the interesting stops along the road.
Sure, absolutely. So my entrepreneurial journey started right after I got out of college. I wouldn't say I was one of those kids that was entrepreneurial and, selling baseball cards and, making money at garage sales. When I got out of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was a math major. I figured, hey, I was good at math. Math is used in all kinds of different business aspects, so it'll serve me well. Well, my dad had been a manufacturer's representative for 25 plus years at that point, and he had started a wholesale distribution company a couple of years before. There was no full-time employees. And I said, look, I know you need help. Let me help you for the summer while I figure out what the hell I want to do with the rest of my life. And he said, sure, I'd love it. So that was all she wrote. 3 months into it, man, I was hooked. I loved it. I loved what we were selling, which was home theater equipment. I learned more in 3 months of doing that than I did in 4 years of college. So I was really getting an on-the-job MBA. I was managing, I was selling, I was marketing, I was shipping, I was receiving, all those things. So after that, I said, look, if you'll have me, I want to stay on. So I did. I managed the company on a day-to-day basis, and I became a partner. We grew at about 60% a year for 9 years before we sold it. Then I worked for them for another 3 years, and then I got laid off, which is kind of funny, getting laid off from the company that bought you, but it's more common than most people think. So at that point, I decided to get into residential real estate. This was about 2010. Most people go, oh my God, Tim, what the hell were you thinking? But I've always felt like there's opportunity in any market. And in that market, there was a lot of foreclosures. So I started door knocking on people's homes who were in foreclosure. And I started to do short sale business. So we were selling the house for less than it was worth, working with the bank to do that. Well, 2.5 years into that, I was like, oh my God, I can't stand this. Somebody said it to me once. They said the Sunday evening effect, where like Sunday evening, you're starting to worry and think about all the stuff that you've got to do that week. And you're like, oh my God, I'm dreading this. Well, I had that every day. And so I said, I got to shift gears. What's the point in owning a business if I'm not loving it? So I started thinking about what I loved about being in distribution, what I felt like I was good at. And that's when I got into marketing. And, I've had some shifts. When I first got into Rialto, we were selling mobile applications. And that shifted about 3 years in when Apple changed their policies and basically shut down providers like me overnight. And I said, oh my God, well, that's not a good place to be. So I shifted gears, got into what I'm doing now, which is much more comprehensive marketing coaching and consulting and done for you work for service-based businesses. So that's the short story, I guess.
So what you're saying is just smooth, straight line, completely predictable trajectory like most of us, correct?
Yeah, that's right. No speed bumps. There was a totally straight path. I just hit the gas and I was there. Yeah, all of us that have been doing this for a long time know that it's a winding road.
Right, exactly. Well, so one of the questions that I'm sure you get a lot is people come to you because they see marketing in your name, like they see marketing in our company name, and they go, oh, Tim, this is great. Hey, listen, could I have a marketing plan? I just want to pay you for a marketing plan. I don't really need marketing. I just, we're selling whatever, some service, something, and we just need a marketing plan. We've never had a marketing plan. And I went to a seminar and this guy said that you should have a marketing plan. Yeah. What's your response to the people that think they, quote unquote, just need a marketing plan?
Well, I guess it depends on what's in that plan. Some plans are much better than others. I find most people don't have a plan, but those that do, oftentimes is not the right plan. I think we need to take a step back and really get an idea of where you're starting from and get a baseline. because you can't create a plan until you know where you're starting from. So it's no different than like my GPS. If I tell it I want to go to Denver International Airport, well, it's not going to know what the hell to do if I don't tell it I'm starting from Highlands Ranch. And I think with your marketing and your plan, it's the same thing. We've got to take a step back and start to ask some of the right questions to get that baseline. And then we can start to figure out what you need to do to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know that you run into this a lot, but I think people that you cannot hear this message often enough. It's about the size and the stage that your company is at, and then using the appropriate mix of marketing strategies, tactics, and tools. So specifically, let's say that I'm a small community bank, and God bless the banks, because banks and marketing should not be mentioned on the same day. But let's say this bank comes to you and they say, yeah, our CEO, they watch the Super Bowl and they really love this one ad. And so we want to do a campaign based on that. We want to do like some Facebook ads and some billboards and some print work. And we want to have something like that. It's like, well, that Super Bowl ad was for like a multi-billion-dollar global corporation, nothing to do with banking, nothing to do with financial services, different target market, different value prop, different demographic, different psychographic. But Tim, the ad was really good. So talk about stages and phases of growth and why one size absolutely does not fit all. And maybe even some horror stories from your work where people came in thinking that they wanted one thing and that was the last thing they needed.
So I love talking about the different stages and one size fits all, because there's so many people that try to just plug people into a box. It's not realistic. We're all at different phases within our business. So the community bank, perfect example, it's most banks, their message doesn't say anything. How are you different than every other bank out there? Frankly, I don't care about banks, right? So, you really have to communicate very clearly. One, they first have to know who the heck their ideal clients are. Because even with the community bank, everybody that's within that community is probably not going to be an ideal client for them, depending on what their products and services are. And so everything that we have to look at starts from your target market, in my opinion. And I don't know, my guess is you see this all the time. There are businesses that have been in business for years that still don't really understand their target market. So oftentimes, even if they're at a later stage in their business, they're further along, they've seen success. Oftentimes, we're still taking some steps back to make sure that they've got some of these fundamentals in place to lay the foundation for them to continue to do better and continue to grow. So what I find is we're always going back to the fundamentals first. Do you know your target market? Do you have great messaging for that market? And then do you have a plan of how you're going to get that message in front of those people? Yeah. That's where I think everything starts. And I haven't met anybody that ever has all three of those things completely dialed in.
I'm telling you, this is why I love having you on, because we're like, a brother from another mother. Do It Marketing Book, Section 1, Chapter 1. The title is It All Starts with Who. No, but we're a high-tech company and we have SaaS software and we have blah, blah, blah. All starts with who. Sorry. It all starts with who. So you're going to drill in to target market, buyer persona. Most people that come to folks like you and me, this is where we always start, because this is where you have to start.
Right.
They think this is either the most boring, difficult, and irrelevant academic exercise. And they go, no, Tim, can we just skip that part? Let's get to the ads. Let's get to the jingles. Can you start just working on the website so I can see some pretty colors and some dancing elephants? How do you make this digestible? How do you make it accessible? And how do you make it almost fun for people to really dial in that buyer persona, that ideal client, that target market, call it what you want, because it's so foundational, it's so critical. And you don't want them halfway through their engagement with you going, yeah, you know what, Tim, we changed our minds. It's not farmers. We're after big commercial industrial accounts. Again, going back to the community bank. Yeah. Because there are banks that are agricultural banks. There are banks that are consumer-focused banks. Yes. There's banks that are, big retail or industrial-focused banks. So how do you make that process fun and not seem like a vigorous tooth cleaning like when you're at the dentist?
So I like to keep it as simple as possible to start, right? If we overcomplicate things, then we're just going to lose people. So for businesses that they've been in business for a while, they've got existing and past customers, I like to start by having them ask themselves 3 questions. Okay. One is, who do you enjoy working with? Why the hell do we want to work with people that are just going to make every day miserable? So start there. Okay. Then the second question is, who are your most profitable clients? If we're going to stay in business, we got to be profitable. And why not work with those clients that are the most profitable for us? And then the third is, who do we do our best work for? Right? If we naturally work and attract people that we do great work for, they're going to want to continue to do business with us. They're going to want to do more business with us. They're going to want to refer us. So if you ask yourself those 3 questions, you now have a group of clients that you answered positively to all 3 of those questions. To me, that's where you start to look for your ideal client types. And that's when you start to dig into some of the stuff that you already mentioned, the demographics, the psychographics, what's the common problem they have? How are they feeling? What results are they looking for? Those types of things. And when you start to look at the demographics and the psychographics for that group, inevitably what happens is you get 1 to 3 subgroups that kind of come to the surface. Those 1 to 3 subgroups, those are your ideal clients.
Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. Let's talk about websites, because I think this is the bane of so many small and medium-sized business owners' existence. For example, someone will come to me, and you probably even ask the same question. They tell me about their business, and I ask them this question, which sends them terrified running into the hills. If I went to your website right now, would I see any of what you just told me? They go, oh no, please don't go to the website. Did you go to the website? No, don't go to the website. No, that's out of date. That's out of sync. That's not really what we do. That's not really who we are. And I'm like, seriously? Like, come on, it's 2021. What's going on? What is the deal with the real business that they're in versus the website that they sometimes get from someone who does not have this holistic approach like you do?
It amazes me how often I see this, and you see it all the time. It's like you go to somebody's website and it's just not there, and they're spending money on other marketing. And to me, your website is the hub for your entire marketing efforts. So once you have those fundamentals in place, everything you do, whether it's online or offline, is driving people back to your website. So if it's not right, you're wasting time and you're wasting money. I think it is so important, but this is not difficult. You and I both know this. There are essential website elements that I think the vast majority of websites need to have. But even in its most simple form, at the top of your website, I need to be able to understand very quickly what you do, how it's going to make my life better, and what's the next step? What action do I need to take? Because if I land on your site and I can't understand that quickly, I'm not staying there. I'm moving on. I'm going to the next website in the search. So we've got to keep this simple. And honestly, I think a lot of websites, especially ones that have been SEO optimized, tend to have way too much content. Way too much content.
Too many
We're
words.
Not reading stuff. We're scanning websites, looking for the information we need. We got to keep this simple, make it easy to scan, make it easy for people to understand how they're going to benefit from working with us, what problems we solve, and then what they need to do to then take that next step. It's not difficult. I just think so many people, websites have been around so long. People just, I don't know. I think they take them for granted. They're not as cool or as sexy as, being on Clubhouse or being on TikTok or whatever the cool thing is today. Those things are always going to be changing, but your website, it's the hub. So you got to get it right.
Let's also bust some myths, and let's maybe pop a couple balloons for people who are listening in, because people, I'm channeling them right now. They're saying, Tim, I get what you're saying, but you know what? My business is 90% referral. My business is 90% word of mouth.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that is code. That's like coded language when they say, my business is all referral. My business is all word of mouth. How do you decode that message when a client comes to you with those statements?
The first thing that I think when somebody says that is that equals I don't need to market. I don't need to have a website or I don't need to be on Facebook. Here's my philosophy on that. That's great. If you're 100% referral, awesome. There are some people that they've built their business that way and they're okay with that. And that's fine. But you still need to have an online presence, because if you don't, you are losing referral business and you never even know it, because somebody said, hey, you need to go talk to David. Here's this website. And what do? They're not calling you first. They're checking you out online. They're looking at, do I like what he has to say? And when they go to your website and it looks like, the Apple website circa 1995, they're like, absolutely not. If they like what they see on your website and they click on your social media and they're like, oh my God, are they still in business? The last time they posted was like 8 months ago. So you still have to have an online presence, because that is where people are going to check out your business and figure out whether they like what they see and whether they want to actually reach out.
I will even go one level earlier in that referral generation process, because we had this happen before we redid our website. Had a fantastic client, and she didn't give us any referrals. And I was kind of like, I asked her, because we had a good enough relationship, where I said, we're doing some fantastic work together, and I'm just curious, I've asked you several times and there's no referral. She says, David, can I be totally honest with you? And I said, yes. She says, I'm afraid to refer you because of your website. And I was like, wow, that's like the Maxell tape commercial from the 1970s, kind of pushes you back in the chair, the hair's blowing back. And I was like, whoa. So here's a person who loved our work, who wanted to refer us, who would have been a fantastic advocate. It's not like I was embarrassed by our old website. She was embarrassed about our old website. Since then, we got a new website. And that was sort of the final nail in the coffin, going, okay, this website from like 2009, which is when the website was originally from, wasn't quite the Apple website in 1995, but close enough. It was horrifying. And that got me thinking, well, how much other business have I lost, both directly and indirectly? Directly, when a referral person goes to the website and goes, ew. Indirectly, when a great client and a great referral source, others have been afraid to refer us because the website was so bad.
She was putting her reputation on the line, and she didn't want people to think negatively of her, right?
Right, exactly.
You know what? I had a dentist that was like that. Great dentist, loved him to death. The building they were in, it wasn't awful, but man, sometimes you walked in there and like, really? And same thing, I never referred her because of that. I mean, both of these concepts are things that so many people just don't think about, because nobody's ever brought it up.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that that's not the reality, because that is the reality. That's happening every single day.
It sure is. Absolutely. Let's talk about active versus passive marketing. You mentioned search engine optimization. Obviously, you help people with content marketing strategy, lead generation, lead magnets, conversion optimization. A lot of people will say, they just say what I just said, like, oh, we spent a lot of money on our website. The website's not making us any money. That's what they're saying, right? The website's not making us any money. Man, we are posting content all over the place. All that social media, that's not making us money. What are they doing wrong? And what's the missing piece when they put out these kind of passive bits of content and then expect the leads to flood in?
I think there's multiple reasons why that happens. So there are specific situations, but in general, I think a lot of that happens because you can't just put information out there and expect people to understand what the hell you want them to do with that. We need to tell people what we want them to do or what we expect them to do. So if you're putting out content and there are no calls to action in it, nothing's going to happen. So when we put out content, by the way, you're talking about the website, this is not Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they aren't going to come. You have to be driving people back to that website. Social media, is a great example. Frankly, what we're doing today is a great example. We're getting out there, we're talking, we're putting information out there. People aren't going to take action from this unless you or I tell them what we want them to do. We need to call them to action. So, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is they just don't have any calls to action in any of the stuff that they do. Well, you got to start putting calls to action in.
Yes, 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 yes. Now let's talk to the lay people, the people going, call
Yes.
to action. What's a call to action? So, what is a
Yes.
call to action? And then what are some good examples that you recommend to your clients
Yeah.
as different kinds of calls to action that convert?
So, for example, call to action for us is, do you want to get a free consultation? Do you have marketing roadblocks that you need outside eyes on and you need clarity on? Schedule a free consultation. That's what I would call our direct call to action. That's for somebody that is very motivated. The pain level is very high and they need to get that solved. They're ready to schedule a consultation. Now, another example of a call to action may be, a workshop or a webinar or a checklist or a cheat sheet. You've got your marketing manifesto, right? That's I call it a transitional call to action. It's for somebody they're not quite ready to get that consultation or, get that breakthrough session or whatever it may be. They're in the beginning stages of gathering information. The pain level is not high enough yet, but they still need some helpful information. So you offer your marketing manifesto, they give you your name, their email, and now you've got the ability to continue to build and nurture that relationship until the point where they are ready to take that next step. So those are all various examples of calls to action. I mean, it could be shop now if I'm in e-commerce, but most coaches and consultants, it's either some type of consultation of some kind, or they're offering, a webinar or a checklist or a cheat sheet to bring people into their world. And now they can serve them and add value so that when the pain gets high enough, hopefully they think of us first and they take that action.
Right. Wonderful. Let's talk about the flip side of this, which is not organic, but paid advertising. So, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, all of these kinds of things. My belief, and I could be wrong about this, but I know that as a consumer of Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads or any particular thing, it's kind of dangerous to have all your eggs in one basket. So, what would be a good sort of entry level pay per click strategy? Like, do you recommend, hey, you know what? Let's start with Facebook. Let's learn some things. Then we can move on to platform 2 and platform 3, and then we can start to diversify the basket. Or do you say, you know what? Let's try all 3 at once, throw a little bit of money at each one, see which one pays off, test some things, and then we'll know where to go. So what's the best mix these days of paid advertising?
For coaches, consultants, service companies, I lean towards Facebook as the best place to start. The thing that a lot of people need to realize with Facebook is, we're not going on to social media to buy stuff in most cases. So, it's not like Google ads where I can target people who, if I'm searching for, whatever, brown leather dress shoes, or where to purchase brown leather dress shoes, well, I'm ready to buy. On Facebook, you need to have a way to bring people in and nurture them because they're not really ready. I don't know people that are selling, $5,000 programs immediately off of an ad on Facebook. They're doing something, they're offering a workshop or, a checklist or a cheat sheet. Facebook is the best place to start and test, see what happens. If you've never done paid ads before, you need to test, do you know that your message is right? Do you know that your offer is right? Facebook is a great way to test that, make sure that it's working, and then you can start to either expand or dump more money into it and generate more leads. But as you said, I think I've always been of the opinion that you need to take a very omni-channel approach to your marketing. So you need to generate leads from multiple places, whether that's referrals, networking, content marketing, email, paid ads. If one of those things tanks, you're still okay. You can still make it. A lot of people get hooked on paid ads. And if you're not using paid ads, I think you can use paid ads to generate leads quickly. But if you're not investing in other channels at the same time, I think that's a really dangerous place to be.
It's known as crack cocaine addiction. That's the problem. I'm not saying that I've been there, but I've been there. with ads, not cocaine, just to be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar.
Let's go behind the scenes. I want to go behind the sort of Rialto marketing secret stage door. By the way, your website is excellent. We're going to give people some cool resources on the website, but just the main front door of the website is simply rialtomarketing.com. You are totally practicing what you preach. Totally. I want to ask you not about the website that is very clean, very easy to navigate, very informative and skimmable and scannable and lots of layouts and bullets and things that I can quickly skim. I want to talk about pricing on the website. A lot of people will advise folks, oh my God, never put pricing on your website because why? Then they'll know what you charge.
Right.
There are several different lines of business that you have where the prices are right there. It's right there. Marketing, consulting, right there. Websites, right there. What was your decision-making process about with your team about, should we put the prices on the website? Have you changed your philosophy over the years about that? And what are the pros and cons of publishing our prices on the website?
I've heard it both ways, right? There's people that they tend to fall in one camp or the other. Initially, I did not have it on there. The reason I added it for some of our services, for our done for you stuff where we're managing larger budgets on a monthly basis, it's just too hard to put packages together because it's different. Like we talked about, one size does not fit all. But with websites and with some of our consulting and coaching programs, they're set. So I put them up there. My thought process was, I don't want to jump on the phone with somebody who wants us to do marketing strategy for them and they have $500. So I wanted to set that up so that they just know realistically, hey, look, this is what you're getting into. There are no surprises. Now, the flip side to that, and what I've heard people say is, well, if you let the prospect disqualify themselves, well, then you don't have the opportunity to have that conversation on the phone or on Zoom to overcome those objections. But I don't know. I've always taken the approach, look, if they have $500, they have $500. So it is what it is. I can't sell somebody a $5,000 package if they only have $500. So that's the approach I took. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. I think it's just going to depend on your philosophy on it. But I would like to chat with people who already have an idea of where things sit so that there aren't any surprises.
Well, and I'm willing to bet that you've had some calls and you've had some prospects who said to you, even on that first conversation, maybe, Tim, I love the fact that you put the prices right out there on the website because that engenders transparency, that engenders trust. They don't feel like they're being bushwhacked. It's like, well, so Tim, how much is the website? I don't know how much you got. How much do you have? Because that's what your website's going to cost.
Yeah.
Right? So have you had transactions with folks where they just breathe this big sigh of relief and go, oh, dude, I love the fact that you were very clear and open about your pricing?
Yeah, some people do say that. It also it makes that initial conversation much more laid back and a lot easier. I'm one of those people, I don't sell people, find out what the problem is. I communicate how we can solve that and what that looks like. And if you're ready, you're ready. If you're not, I'm not going to convince you because I've done that. And inevitably, those are not good clients because you convince them. And my wife's a nurse. In healthcare, you talk about readiness to change. Are you ready to stop smoking? Are you ready to start exercising? If the readiness to change is not an 8 to 10 on the scale, well, then you ain't going to change. It's no different than with what we do. If the pain that you're experiencing from your lack of marketing isn't great enough, then you are not going to change. And I'm not going to say anything to shift that.
Let's switch to another thing that I know you're passionate about, which is value first content marketing. Blogs, articles, downloads, resources. I mean, people are going to go to the website and they could get lost in this playground of amazing marketing information, insights, advice, how-to guides, downloads, all kinds of things. The other thing that I'm hearing people say is, Tim, You're crazy, dude. You're giving it all away. Who's going to come to you for consulting if you have all these fabulous downloads? They just read up on it. They can go do it themselves.
Right.
So talk about the value of that overwhelming content that is rich, relevant, meaningful, and valuable to the exact kinds of prospects that you want. Why are you not afraid to put it all out there?
So first off, as a coach, consultant, professional service provider, people have to trust you. You have to have credibility and authority in your space. And the only way that you can really do that is by putting out content, putting yourself out there. I have always taken the philosophy that we're not going to hold anything back. We're just going to put it out there. And here's why. Anything that we want to learn about, we can learn about at this point. I can go online. The information is there. But just because I can watch a video that shows me how to fix a broken electrical outlet doesn't mean that that's either my skill set, my capability. There are a certain set of people that are going to take that information and fix it. And there's a certain set of people that are going to go, I see how to do it. Now I know what the electrician's going to do who I'm going to hire. Now I can speak a little bit more knowledgeably, and then I'm going to go out and hire somebody to do it. So the people that are going to take the information that I put out there, that you put out there, and actually use it, awesome. That's great. They used it to their benefit. Great. I helped somebody. Cool. That person was never going to be my client to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I'll put it out there. But what I find is a lot of people think that they want to start to do it themselves. You give them the information and then they get into it and they're like, oh, damn, I'm stuck. Or I don't like this.
Yeah.
I value my time more than the money. I'm going to hire somebody to do it. And when I've been feeding them that information and they like it and they gel with me, they're naturally going to lean to me first.
Yeah.
And it's a great way for people to get to know you, right? We buy from people that know, like, and trust us. Well, our content helps us accomplish that.
Yes, totally agree. Well, as we wrap things up, I've got two final questions for you.
Sure.
The final question will be, where can people get connected and stay connected to more Tim Fitzpatrick brilliance? But before we get there, second to last question, if folks were to take one overarching idea from doing marketing the right way, doing marketing the smart way, doing marketing the modern way, what do you hope that one overarching concept would be?
Don't skip the fundamentals. Make sure you get the fundamentals in place first, because they lay the foundation for the rest of your marketing house. If you skip the fundamentals and get, when I say tactical, I've got to have my website and social and content and all this other stuff, you're going to waste time and you're going to waste money and you're going to have to come back to it. So do not skip the fundamentals.
So important. Now, I know you have some fantastic resources for people, just for listeners of The Speaking Show.
Yes.
Where can we send people to pick up those goodies, and what other resources, what other links can we share in the show notes here?
Absolutely. So go to rialtomarketing.com. So it's RIALTO marketing.com. And then that link is /the-speaking-show. There's a bunch of free resources to help people with some of these fundamentals that we touched on. They don't even have to opt in. They just click on them and they can use them, okay? If they get into it and they're getting stuck, they need help, they just click the get a free consultation button there and all over our site. And I'd be happy to chat with them and help them through those.
Tremendous.
And then all of our content, our social links, all that's there. So the website is the best place to go.
Awesome. And that link is going to be directly under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. And Tim's links and the website and some of the goodies that are waiting for you at that rialtomarketing.com/the-speaking-show. In case you're in your car or something, like, pull over, for God's sakes. Don't do it while you're driving. Tim Fitzpatrick, you are so awesome. Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.